Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're actually going to be doing episode 7 of the Gladiator series where I only loot from players I kill. And you can see here what I'm going with in this first setup. And I think at this point in my mind I convinced myself, let's just take this series like all the way to level 15 and see what happens. So this episode has a lot of games. Rather than showing you guys one at a time, I don't think I'd ever get this series finished if I did that. In the future I'll definitely be considering some changes, but basically for the most part, I still don't buy any meds and I'm just using scraps to try to survive here. So it becomes pretty tough, and I do seriously hope in the future we get an arena where I actually can have a full-blown Gladiator style character. Now, starting this one off, we jump into this one, make a little hop skip to jump across those rocks into an area that's pretty dangerous, but quite early on we spot a player, so we may get a pretty early chance to test out this green rapier again. I had some mixed success with them before, and maybe we'll fare a little better this time. So we're going for it. These guys get halberd, so this should work well in our favor. Dodge a few arrows from those goblins and end up finishing the kill off quite quickly. I think one more hit with that halberd, though, would have seriously hurt. Now we get this horde of mobs chasing us, which, if you're archers and stuff, it's incredibly painful to try to deal with these guys. So we're going to try to drag them over top of this trap and see if that can help us a little. Oddly enough, these guys actually just retreated, which normally they'll chase you right around that corner and force you out that door. So we get a little lucky and we're able to pretty much freely loot this guy with no mobs anywhere near us. We get a green halberd, and this would be before I made that video, or at least tested any of those weapons out on my halberd and spear video. So I was a little hesitant to actually put it to use because basically I had no idea how to use it. Now we get ourselves in a situation here underneath a ranger and a barbarian fighting. And this barbarian's going hard, and I don't think he notices us, so we might be able to sneak in and kind of steal a kill here. I kind of would prefer if they fight each other first and weaken one of them. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to kill a fully buffed up barb with a blue or whatever color felling axe. So we're going to kind of bait him off this portal because we want these two to fight.
Off my portal, you bitch. Get out of here.
I really don't want this guy to leave. Seriously, I don't have that much great stuff right now. I pulled the halberd and this guy's just fed up with me, which was a stupid idea.
1, 2, goodbye. Ha, you got 2 hits.
Just didn't have the movement speed to get away from him once I equipped that halberd. I was very satisfied to see the ranger avenge us. So, all of what we did was not completely lost. One of them did end up dying, it's just I would have preferred if they had engaged each other rather than the barbarian rushing at me. Yeah, my first kind of learning lesson with the halberd is you go very slow. So, switching back to the lobby, we're going to go back into another game quite quickly. In this one, we're grabbing the rapier with weapon mastery and dual wield. And you'll notice I actually equipped victory strike. My plan was, instead of taking meds, I would just farm mobs using that 5% HP, and I wanted to kind of see how well it would work, so doing a bit of testing here. And I guess the point of this rapier is dull as shit, because I seriously can't get any of these barrels to break. But just out of curiosity, I go and I try the arming sword and see what happens. And sure enough, we get a barrel to break. Some people tell me that's client side, and other times I honestly think it's just the weapon. I have no idea what's going on. But we do spot a guy, and it's a ranger, and he's not moving, so we're definitely going to take this kill. The death skull ends up interrupting us a bit, and then the flying bat comes down, and I start to panic, because I'm like, oh god, I gotta actually finish this kill off, or else the bat's gonna steal it from me. So we do end up actually getting that kill, not one to write home about, and we take a little bit of damage from the bat in the process on a guy that wasn't even moving. And you'll see here it's incredibly difficult for that point to hit these flying bats. It's a struggle. Every time I use the rapier or any pointed weapons, I always find it a struggle to land those pointed, like, narrow attacks. Getting kind of fed up with this guy, so we pop victory strike, and for whatever reason, I get incredibly lucky, and we land a victory strike that actually killed the enemy. So we get our 5% HP back, and I wouldn't say I did any math or calculated the health of that bat. It was just pure luck and frustration. Looting this guy, we get our bow, which is super awesome because we're already running weapon mastery. And then we run into another bat. That means a whole lot of swinging, and not a lot of stuff dying. I'm kind of getting fed up with these little guys. Those like, the first stab on the rapier is so difficult to land. Especially on an enemy that's going up and down and like side to side. So here's some spiders behind here. Another situation where that little point will be kind of tricky to land. And we get an early portal, which is kind of an interesting one. I do run around for a while and basically try to consider fighting other people. I find no one. So we end up just taking that portal, running with our bow. Because, truthfully, a recurve bow and some arrows is a big find. And we make it out alive. Not the most amazing kill to add to our tally, though with all the recent problems and struggles, I'll definitely take it. So we end up jumping back in, basically just using the short sword as our secondary instead of the torch. And once again, we get a room with a whole bunch of bats. We do have our recurve bow and our arrows on us, and we are going to be trying Victory Strike again just to see if we can get a decent run in where it may become useful for us. I really think Victory Strike needs some help, and actually I'm going to need some help entering this room because this is a terrible room to try to clear. I just always hate archers. For some reason, their projectile speed's really slow, so medium range, long range, it's not a huge problem. The problem is getting in close and trying to finish them up before they smack me in the face with an arrow. And like you'll see, I just messed up the timing on Victory Strike once, trying to judge how much damage a goblin takes from rapier. It's a tricky game to play. I really think the only way you're going to get any value out of Victory Strike is if I find basically a den of spiders or a spider pot that I can clear and maybe get some of my HP back. We'll see. We tried on this skeleton and we mistime it again. Always one hit away. So I kind of remembered there's actually spiders in that room I was just in, so we kind of lure this bat out and head to the far corner where there's actually a huge pool of spiders here. So this is where we're going to try it out. We get one off, you know, a little bit of HP, so we're going to farm this for a bit and see how effective it can be. These bats just take so long to deal with. I think this one's actually just a friendly bat. He doesn't actually come down and attack me, I don't think. But we're going to see if we can line up a bunch of spiders and get a Victory Strike into them. So 5% HP, it's going to take a long time. I thought in the past sometimes you could cleave through multiple ones and get the like 5% twice. Though it's incredibly hard to do when using the rapier. So we got quite a little stack, we're going to try this again. I really want to try to get multiple. I don't think I got multiple there. And seriously, my health isn't going up that fast at all. I think if maybe Victory Strike had a shorter cooldown, maybe 10-15% health increase, you might see some value of taking it. I mean, you can clear mobs with the longsword in 2 hits and then get that 10 or 15% HP buff or bonus. That would be pretty nice. I just don't know what their plan is for Victory Strike because I'm really surprised it hasn't been touched since basically, well, 3 playtests ago. It was really one of my favorite skills because it gives your fighter class a little bit more damage. We take a quick rest and head into the room beyond to see what we can find. We hear footsteps right away. So we hear footsteps and it sounds like they're heading down towards Goblin Caves. And we see a guy at the bottom of the stairs. And being ruthless as I am, even if this is a friendly bard, I'm definitely going to try to take this kill because loot has been hard to come by. I did honestly give this guy a warning shot so he knows a fight is coming. He traps himself in the troll cave. We're going to open it up, maybe hit him with a few arrows. He doesn't have his weapon out, he's got his music out. Truthfully, if a guy's shooting arrows at you and you're a bard, just fight back. Getting a little tired of shooting arrows at the player, we decide, let's just aggro cave troll. Let him do the work, see what happens. That kind of chases this guy out of his little hiding spot, and this bard goes out playing music at least. But like I said before, I don't really understand the jumping around playing music to people, becoming friends with everybody in Goblin Caves. It is kind of interesting and fun at times, and I get bards a really challenging class. But hopefully in the future they become more of a class you can solo with, so it makes them a little more valuable. So these last 2 runs we've escaped with gear and loot and kills, though they weren't really what I was expecting. A couple of really early portals and players just not even really fighting back. Gives us a little bit of momentum, I guess you could say. Though the big fights we have been getting into have been increasingly difficult. I mean, fighting a barbarian with felling axe or any of those things with even green or blue weapons is almost a death sentence. So to try to solve some of this and some of these med or not having healing items issues, we're actually going to be switching to Second Wind, which a lot of you guys may have been saying in your heads in the past. I probably should just be running that from the get-go. As you know, I just love Adrenaline Rush and hate the fact that I have to recharge an ability mid-raid in order to use it again. So seeing some of our competition there, this is going to be a tough one. And we get an okay spawn. Kind of strange that these mobs aggro onto you right in your spawn. So we use sprint to kind of maneuver around this guy. Once again, we're using a blue rapier. So this is actually a pretty decent weapon to be running, I feel like, on the fighter class. You know, you can chunk a lot of damage and still move incredibly quickly. So, yeah. We did not intend to use Second Wind. Well, actually, we did intend to use our skill there. But our brain was so hooked on Adrenaline Rush and the attack speed damage you can do to clear mobs. Yeah. We end up handicapping ourselves and basically wasting our 50% heal without having taken any damage. We get a barbarian kind of trapped in this door, and this is one of my favorite interactions of this playtest. After all the recent interactions with barbarian, I'm fully aware that this isn't a fight I'm probably going to be able to make it out on top of, unless I really do something a little sneaky. So, we end up just spacing this guy around this circle, and when my weapon's not out, he cannot catch me with his felling axe out. Which leads to this kind of game of cat and mouse, where we go in circles for quite some time. He gets a little annoyed and obviously starts shouting, trying to increase his movement speed, showing us his rage with this whole situation. He puts his weapons away, and we start playing our little game of tag, where now I'm a little bit fearful he's going to catch me, and he does actually the smart thing to start punching me, though sprint carries us through this and allows us to distance ourselves again. Didn't turn around quick enough to actually catch him with our weapons, so we're a little bit lower HP, probably almost into one-hit range with that felling axe. Now, we're definitely not going to let this guy open this door, and he knows it. He's actually just trying to bait us. So, we're actually going to whip with the bow, and we do land an arrow into his chest, which will be very helpful, and now he's super mad. So he's trying to track us down using that movement speed again, so sprint's going to have to carry us out of here. Back to our little hole in the ground where he can't reach us. We may have the slight lead here, considering that arrow kind of smoked him in the chest. But he has a lot of HP, and if he Achilles strikes us throwing axe right now, we're toast. So we're back to our roundabout, back to this merry-go-round game of tag, where we just can't quite reach each other, and I am way too afraid to just go 1v1 with this barbarian. Though the time is coming, and the zone is going to force us into a situation. He narrowly misses that swing. We pop sprint as he pops his movement speed, and once again we're able to keep away. We go in for the kill, missing our second swing, hitting him with 3 swings. We just don't do enough. And I feel like we did everything possible in that situation, yeah. 5 HP. Or whatever it is. We did just about everything we could do. If I hadn't have burned Second Wind and hadn't taken it in the first place and gone with Adrenaline Rush, probably would have won that one. So with our recent struggles, we actually decide, you know what? Let's just go to Goblin Merchant and see what we can find. And the first weapon we roll is a spear, which should have been super helpful, and we get a gray, a really crappy common spear. Which actually hurts me quite deeply because we could have seriously used that weapon. We roll a falchion and get, as expected, a gray, 34 damage. I think that might even be junk level. Like 33 and 34 damage. That's a yikes. We actually end up going back, just praying that we can get a short sword maybe. Something green would be so nice and helpful. And what do we get? A 21 damage short sword. Yeah. So, that's just about the best the Goblin Merchant had to offer me this playtest. I didn't find anything I rolled was actually any good at all. So I start looking around the shop, seeing if maybe there's something I can use, or maybe a way to turn this around. But, you know, the Goblin Merchant has spoken. That's what he's told us to run with. So we're going to run this 33 damage spear. into the next raid and see how well we do. Looking at some of the competition shows us that we're not likely to do very well against any of that, essentially. We get a spawn that you guys are extremely familiar with if you watched any of the past episodes, where we basically have to clear these 2 zombies. We're actually going to take the route down through the hallway, which leads you into the spiders and zombies, and up and around the giant bat cave. Up here we actually find some guys who we think are friendly.
Wait up, we're friendly. There's a guy that way, he's gonna kill you, bro. If you
Which
go that
guy?
way, you're gonna die. He's wounded, bro. Don't go that way. There's a guy. Yeah, come this way.
I'm gonna go fight him.
He's in a secret door.
I'm fighting him.
Oh,
This guy actually appears to take a swing at me. I'm not fighting you, and I'm not really sure if I trust this guy too much. So what's the deal here? I'm confused.
We're just kind of chilling. He said he was friendly, I'm friendly, like I'm a cleric, it just is what it is, dog.
I do have this spear, but it's garbage also. After chatting with this cleric, I realized he's kind of been suckered into this situation. And then this guy kind of throws down an obvious bait. At least, obvious in my opinion. I truthfully can't pick those up because of the challenge, but something tells me if I had to try to pick those up, it was kind of just a way of him making me more comfortable. You know? He's baiting me into something I don't want to be part of. And within the next 30 seconds, he's swinging at me. So, we peel out of there. This guy is obviously just trying to grab some loot and then take that exit portal. Super sus. Gets us trapped down here with this death beetle. Just barely squeezed through this door in time. However, the death beetle does come with us. Using spear to keep your distance, sidestepping. Death beetles actually aren't that difficult to deal with. We make our way back to where we last saw these so-called friends. Or this guy that's just killing noobs in goblin caves with decent gear, while baiting and luring people into his traps. He ran at me again and got hit by that wall spike after previously running in. I get hit by the wall spike and I decide, let's just swing at this guy. I did actually hit him, so he's wrong. But I also hit the lamppost the second swing, so didn't really do much damage. I didn't have a chance against this guy. And yes, that's my sigh of just sheer regret and pain as I try to make my way through goblin caves. This guy also takes out his cleric the second that gate opens. And unfortunately, if I had to try to fight that guy, even with his gear, he has a cleric sitting there pocket healing him and backing him up, thinking they're friends. So there's no way I make it out of that situation. So look, thank you guys. I know this was a longer one. The next episode, we're going to be trying out more of these cursed weapons. Just seeing if we can get a falchion to actually hit register properly while we fight rangers and other things. Once again, thank you all, and I'll see you next time.